Thanks,
Um,
Mom.
thanks. Appreciate it.
Um,
Yeah, so
so
I wish we were taken down for amazing reasons, but it's probably just that my other fan gave up on my computer.
no, the stream was overloaded. So many
Yeah,
guests.
too much. Yeah,
There's
that's
so
right.
many viewers.
Dozens of them.
And here we have a guest star.
Bro, why'd you bring the whole tray of ice creams? Thank you, sir.
So, lab in my basement, my parents feeding my love of science, and actually in college, going into college, I said I do not want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I want to learn business.
Oh.
And so I went to Pitt as a business administration major. And I feel like everybody told me it was wrong. I'd always been interested in STEM ever since I was little. Nursing or, biology. I think briefly chemistry, which was a big mistake. And
Chemistry. I tell you, the people who are good at chemistry, thank you.
yeah,
But oh my god, why?
right. And so I wanted to get a minor in biology in
Mm-hmm.
college just to have it. And I, but I heard Bio 1 was terrible. And I guess for some people it is. And it's a weed out class for sure. And so I didn't take it my first semester. I took all business courses and I absolutely hated it. I remember crying on the floor of my dorm room after my first macro exam, thinking I literally just don't understand this. And I can't.
Really?
And so the next semester,
Well, what doesn't click? Like, it doesn't sound like it's, especially for all the things that we've been talking about. It doesn't sound like it should be that.
it just didn't make sense. I didn't know how to study for it. I just
Oh,
wasn't
I understand.
interested in it. And I had never been interested in it. We had AP macro at my high school and I never took it. We had AP micro and I never took it. Why did I think I would be interested in it rather than all the AP science classes I took? But
Right, right.
so next semester, I thought, oh gosh, I'm really doing poorly in college. I guess might as well take bio and chem 1 because if I'm already getting B's and C's in micro, why not? And I continued my minor in French and I thought I'd fall back. And I loved it. I loved bio. Gen Chem 1 I loved. That went away, but I loved it and I thought, I have to switch to this. And they switched me out of the business school. You have to apply because it switches schools.
Yeah,
Because it's
I know what
Dietrich
that's like.
versus whatever the business school is.
At Pitt, right?
Yeah, at Pitt. So I switched in and I wasn't accepted into the sciences right away. You just stay general in the arts and science school. And I started taking it. I had to take summer classes because the sciences have very strict progressions. So I had to take summer classes to catch up on it, but I loved it. I had an A+ average in all my labs and stuff, and it's just, when you are where you're supposed to be, it's easy.
Yeah, I hate school.
Well, that's your personality.
So like, I don't know. Definitely, as I've gotten closer to what I enjoy more, it's easier to go. Like, it was easier to go to class. Like,
Yeah.
but I still hate class.
I mean, there were classes that I hated, right? Like, I shouldn't say no one. Many people don't like physics. So,
Oh, really? No, Newtonian physics is awesome.
physics 2, where it's all electricity and stuff,
That is
it was
harder,
terrible.
especially if it's calc based. That's when it
Right.
starts to really pick up.
And as a bio major, you have to take that, which is terrible.
And anyone who's doing anything in physics 3, if anyone's talking about, yeah, good luck. If you got a 50 on your exam, you're probably in the upper echelon. Probably be curved up to at least a B.
Mhm.
And if anyone asks anything about the speed of light, the answer is 99.89% the speed of light. The problems always end up being something like that.
It's fast.
Yeah. Because they always ask like a relative thing. They're like,
Yeah.
if someone's going 95% and they're going 95% speed of light this way, what do they see each other? It's 99.89. Just put it down. put a couple extra nines and like an 8 somewhere
Sig
in
fig.
there, and they'll be yeah, sig figs, and they'll be like, all right, that's I think you have a rounding error. It's like, yeah, yeah,
That's
I
the
do.
only one. Yeah.
Yeah.
You make an interesting point about exam scores, though. My first Gen Chem 1 exam, I got a 74. Bio, I got an 86, and I still remember those grades because I thought I'm still in the wrong major. And then they both got curved up to like 120%
Mhm.
because those scores are, those classes are such weed outs and just challenging.
I've still okay. This is an odd statement. I've still not figured out how to fail people.
Well, I am not a college professor, so I cannot
Right.
help you.
And like I keep looking at my stuff, and I can't figure out how I would ask a question that's fair and half the class would still not get it.
I agree with that.
Like I don't know. I know like maybe it's just the subject I'm in and how how I teach the class, but I can definitely see how that's done in some of the classes I took,
Mhm.
like fluid dynamics. Yeah, you know what? You could show me that time and time and time again. You're gonna still ask me a question about laminar flow or something like that I'm going to like botch,
What is the
right?
viscosity of this liquid in this pipe?
Yeah, if it's going at this speed and it has this diameter pipe, like how fast is I don't know. I don't know the questions anymore, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, so you actually had to now you were able to actually graduate on time though, even with this meandering.
Yes. So I took Bio 2 and Lab as a summer course, and
Mhm.
that caught me back up. And then I took 17 to 19 credits for the rest of my semesters. I
Wow.
actually thought I was going to graduate early, and then I failed Orgo
Two or one.
2. I
That's the hard one.
scraped through one.
Yeah.
Orgo 2, I mean, and also remember I was missing classes because of my stomach,
Yeah.
because it wasn't under control.
For those who don't know, Orgo 2 is organic chemistry. Chemistry?
Yes.
Yes.
2.
And apparently when chemistry starts becoming alive and has carbon in it, it gets really hard. I
If
don't know.
you add this ring with some fun atoms plus this ring with other fun atoms, what is produced
Uh-huh.
under these conditions? And I was always like, another carbon ring? It's like, and I think in Orgo 1 you get some points for that, like for just drawing toluene, which is like the most simple. But in Orgo 2, they're like, come on, we all know it's a ring. Like, we all know it's a hexacarbon. Be more creative than that.
I took AP chemistry, which I didn't like, but I liked the teacher. I'm blanking on the name. I forget what her name was, but I liked the teacher. Um, and it was so that was kind of fun, but it used to always frustrate me because they'll give you like here's a molecule, here's some activation energy, what comes out,
Yeah.
and I would just be like, hey, like as long as I can match up like what is it like the orbitals or something,
The electrons, yeah.
yeah, the electrons, um, I can make whatever I want. That's apparently not
That's
true.
not true.
And so I would always be making these molecules, and she would have to like go and like I'm telling you, I think sometimes she had to really like dig deep to find these exceptions to these rules because let me tell you, there is a they start off chemistry and they're like, oh, it's really simple, just follow these three simple rules and just make sure everything matches. It's like a big jigsaw puzzle, and then you go and you do that, and you're like, no, sorry, you learned in fifth year PhD of life of chemistry that there's actually this one rule that someone discovered a year ago, and that's why it can't be like this. I'm just like, how is how is anyone supposed to pass this class? And you
You're
just have
not.
to sit there and memorize.
Right. And I didn't,
I
with
can't.
biology, you understand, right? You have to understand the
Uh-huh.
processes. There was some memorization, but for chemistry, to me, there's an understanding and then there's a huge part that's memorization. And I want a field where I have to think and understand the concept,
Mm-hmm.
not memorize it.
I was always much better at deriving.
Mhm.
So like thinking through, putting things together, having them fit. Can't do any kind of memorization. I remember trying so hard. You took like Spanish class and stuff, and like trying to be like the capital of Brazil is Portugal, and they're like, no. Like, well, they speak the same language, and they're like, well,
Okay.
good.
Counts for something.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know Belize and Lima, maybe.
I took French.
Ecuador and Bogota. Wait a second.
Ecuador is a country.
Yeah, but Bogota is the city, is the capital, I think.
I don't know. Fact checking.
Yeah, can you fact check
He's
that?
typing. He's been fact checking.
Is Bogota the capital of Ecuador?
I don't know. I took
Yeah,
French.
he's looking it up. Huh? Quito?
So Quito.
What is Bogota the capital of?
Is that even real?
Bogota's the place. I remember. It's got lots of vowels. Look, you gotta try and remember somehow. It's Colombia. I said that earlier.
Spanish speaking.
Yeah. I knew that. I got that 50% right. So count that one as a win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't pass that test.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to memorize anything, and it's just silly, right? Like, even like I said, my lab average was an A+ in college. I got an A+ in micro lab
Mm-hmm.
and a B- in micro class. How that shouldn't be possible.
Yeah, again, I was also a geek in high school. I was very much geek in high school, and I only got 2 C's all of high school. The first one was because I was in a reading literature. What do you call it? Reading
like a
classes?
seminar?
No, it's like an actual like English class. It was an English class.
Yeah, one of the standard 4 classes.
But you go on and you read a whole bunch, right?
Yeah.
Well, I was in the back, and the person in front of me was bigger than me,
Express.
and so they couldn't see me. And I had better books to read,
Mm-hmm.
so I would take the book we were reading in class, and I would take my own book and put it inside, and I would read it. Of course, every time she came up to me, because you would like take turns reading, I would sometimes I'd be like, oh, and I would try and find it. And, sometimes she'd skip me, sometimes she'd wait, just trying. I'm like, I'm still going to read my book right after this. And that didn't fool her at all, but it definitely didn't fool her when we changed books, and so did I. And my book got bigger, and the new book was smaller, and I still did the same thing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I got to see that semester. But my second was actually in chemistry, in AP
Really?
Chem. Yeah, so it was in the lab. And so it was like third, because it was quarters actually. And so third quarter came up, and I got like straight A's, got like an A in the regular, and I got like a C+ in the lab. And they go up to her, and I'm like, what is this about? She's like, wait, what about? I was like, I got a C. I don't get C's. And she was like, what was the last lab you turned in?
Oh my gosh, Justice. You have to write lab reports. You can't just show up.
I said, well, I did the lab. She's like, no, you watched your lab part do it while you yakking.
Oh my god.
I was like, well, I know what we did. I said, besides, this is dumb. Like, you told me what was going to happen. Why am I doing this? What a horrible experiment. It's not an experiment. We know what's happening.
That's the point. Because they're not training you in those labs to be investigative researchers. They're training you to be scientists who can follow a protocol. And you cannot.
I deserve to see. I can't believe I didn't get C all 4 quarters.
No, oh my gosh. I don't think I got a C in high school.
Really?
Oh gosh. No, I think I would have. I think that's why I cried my first macro exam.
The first time you truly fail in college, oh my god. It's too hard.
Yeah. Depends on your major. Depends on the curve.
I It was my second semester. I got one of every grade, which is pretty cool. Guess what your GPA is if you get one of every grade?
What?
2.0.
Well, it depends on the weights, I guess, but yeah.
Yeah, it does, but
What did you fail?
differential equations.
Diffie Q.
Diffie Q was miserable.
Yeah.
Do not like it. Again, it's like it's so dumb. It's like you start doing math, and then halfway through you get to a point where you can't solve anything.
Mhm.
So you have to somehow memorize something, and you jump mentally to a page in the book, and now you can do the rest of the equation.
Right.
Yep.
And this has everything I need. I don't need to memorize.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why? That's what used to make me mad in college. It's like, why do I have to memorize?
So that was bad. I got I just got an F in that one. Yeah, C in Calc 3. Oh yeah, that was part of the thing. I doubled up on Calc 3 and Diffie Q.
Diffie Q?
Yeah.
Oh.
My advisor told me people do that. I was like, all right. I never failed anything
Yeah.
before. Yeah, okay. I'm trying to remember what I got a D in now. Oh, I remember. It was like digital logic design. I fought with that professor nonstop. That's a long story. That just ends in nothing of me being kind of lazy and also just not caring, and then
That was me in astronomy.
just look at the stars.
Oh no. I took astronomy because I heard it was the easiest science elective in Pitt, and I thought I would like to be well-rounded in the sciences.
Yeah, it's
you
like
know?
Galileo.
But I had taken bio, chem, orgo, physics.
Mm-hmm.
Why not throw in astronomy as an elective?
The
Heard it-
decathlon of science. Okay, I
right.
get you.
I'd heard it's easy. I sat down the first day and she said, I'm sure you guys are all here for an easy A. I've completely redesigned the class this semester. But I had been on the wait list. So it wasn't the first day. It was like, you know how sometimes they repeat the syllabus until the waitlist period's over or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
It was the last day. I couldn't transfer out and I needed credits. So I did it. I never went to class because she just tested. She uploaded her PowerPoints and she tested from the PowerPoints. So I had no, I can't believe I'm saying this to my mom that's listening. I had no participation points because I didn't go. And I met with her after I transferred into the class to say, hey, I transferred in late. I've already missed some recitations. I've already missed some participation points. How can I make it up? She said, here's a lab report that you can do. You could go do physics research. So explain that to me to get extra credit. And so, yeah, I don't know. And so I went and did that. And she was like, and I met with her again. And she said, great, I think you're going to be successful in this class. And then I stopped going because I had better things to do.
I had. So, I decided to go to Japan one day. That's actually kind of how that goes.
Really?
Yeah, I just one day looked at my mom and said, "I'm going to go to Japan." She said, "That's nice." I kept reading her book, and I was like, "Cool." And so I signed up for a Japanese class, and again, not good on the memorization front, right? Like it turns out it's really hard to derive a language from your own.
Especially a character language.
Yeah, which completely different syntax.
Yeah.
You know, it's what is it? Completely different verb arrangement and everything, right? Like it's just different. And so they have articles, like you know, like the, of, at, like the connecting words, but they just work differently. Like a lot to it. They have really weird words or really weird rules. And so I thought all I had to do was. There aren't many of them, by the way. There's like 3 or 4 main articles, right? And so I just memorized all the verbs and all the nouns, and then just threw in an article however I felt, right? Like that was, and I was like, look, if I've got a sentence and it's got 7 words, and I've messed up 1, and it's the shortest word, clearly that counts for something. Turns out, it doesn't. So I was like miserably failing this class because I couldn't put sentence. I mean, I couldn't put them together. I just had no clue what I was saying except for the fact I was like, look, like let's just skip the articles. Like if we like, there's only so many words. Just nouns, verbs. We should get there.
Right.
No. So I show up. I finally was like, I don't really want to fail this. Like I finally starting to realize I don't want to fail classes. So I showed up to like office hours, and she sat down and was like, "Here, fill out the sheets." And I said, "Okay." So I start filling it out, and she went to, and she was like, "Why did you use this article?" So I don't know, it sounded right. She goes, "What do you mean it sounded right?" I said, "Yeah, it flows well."
Oh my gosh. She must have hated you.
And she just kind of looked at me, and she's like, "This isn't your language."
You don't know how it's supposed to sound.
This isn't your language. And I was like, I know that. She's like, it doesn't make any sense. And so I was like, all right, fair enough. She was like, we'll study this. And so all of a sudden, I started to pass. And I showed up to class at the end. And, I thanked her for helping me out. She goes, the Japanese are very, very polite. And so sometimes when they compliment you, though, it hurts. And she's like, yeah, I've never had somebody, you did really well. I've never had somebody that was failing so bad and passed this class.
Backhanded compliment.
Like, right at you.
See, the thing about language. Have you met my best friend Kayla? Short, strawberry blonde.
I know, but she was at your wedding, right?
No.
No, she wasn't?
She will be at the anniversary celebration, but she was not. Anyways.
I must have someone else in mind. Okay.
She has a master. Emily was the one that was at the...
It was Emily.
Yeah. She has a master's degree in linguistics and pedagogy. Super smart. Smartest. She left high school at 16 to go to college.
What's pedagogy? Pedagogy.
It's like I believe it's the art of teaching linguistics.
Pedagogy is? I thought it was a religious thing.
No.
Huh, fair enough.
Because she's a world language teacher.
Excellent.
She once told me, technically, something is linguistically acceptable as long as the other person understands what you're meaning. And I really thought that was her texting me, and it wasn't. But she might be asleep because it's almost 10. But
That is getting, yeah.
because she has to get up and be a teacher tomorrow morning. But anyways,
About pedagogy.
she once told me that if someone understands you, it's linguistically acceptable.
Yeah.
So you should have said that to your Japanese teacher. You should have said,
Don't understand what's coming out of my mouth.
it was 1 out of 7. You knew what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it didn't. Actually, yeah, I grew up with a speech impediment, like really
I didn't know
bad.
that.
Yeah, I was in speech class, like, I started off, there's lots of reasons. One, I started off in, like, the special classes, because for lots of reasons, it turns out I refused to learn things.
Oh, your parents.
So apparently my mom was very concerned that like I couldn't learn things. So like, but if you think about it, like when you're 5 years old, everyone wants you to memorize everything. It's like
You have to.
memorize the months, memorize the numbers, memorize. It's like, oh my god. So I couldn't figure out the ABCs. Well, like, if you think about it, it's really confusing.
Okay, there's a song.
No, just because you sing the ABCs doesn't make it a song. I don't want to talk about it, maybe you're right, okay? But, so, the other problem was that they said that there was 26 letters, but I could only count 24.
What did you miss?
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, lemon, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V.
Is that serious? You
Yeah,
did
I
that?
actually thought it was lemon. And I don't know why, because it's LMNOP, but
Yeah.
I thought it was lemon.
Oh.
So I kept like I had all these mess ups. Then they would want you to do it backwards. There's no way.
No.
There's
I
no
couldn't
way.
do that as an adult.
So anyways, all this is memorization, and no one can understand me. I think when I started speech class in like first grade or something like that, there was like 21 sounds I couldn't make.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was like anything that was. I had it all. I had a list. I had R's, S's, T's,
Hmm.
CH's, F's. It was all wrong. And so they finally let me out.
You make it sound like jail.
It was like jail. Like, let me tell you, like, I really hated it. Like 6.5 grade. I think it was like most of the way through 6th grade. They were like, all right, get out of
Oh,
here.
that's a while though.
Yeah. I don't think I made it into 7th grade, but yeah, it was a long time. And still, like, you'll notice, like, sometimes, especially if I get tired or something, my R's are really what I'll mess up on, and they'll turn into W's.
Interesting.
So I had that. I had this weird Southern accent, which is the Baltimoreese, Calvert
Yeah.
County gobbledygook, and it's mumbly and everything, right? And so I had that, and it was really thick. So my sister has a bit more of the Southern Belle, and my brother has a bit more standard English. Was how that was set up, and so I went to Japan. No one understood me.
Because you're not enunciating.
I'm not enunciating anything, and my A's especially my A's were way off, right? And so they're just like, and so I ended up having to hang out with Germans because the Japanese understood the German English better than my English.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I spoke better English than the guys from I think Norway. Yeah, is it Norway? Yeah, those guys. Whatever Scandinavian language those guys speak, it is a harsh language. And
So is German though.
no, it's a lot easier than these Nordic.
Interesting.
Yeah, those, and they're very complicated. Those Scandinavian languages are very, very complicated languages. They have a whole bunch of not genders. What's whole bunch of conjugations. Like special cases and stuff like that. Yeah, it's very complicated. But yeah, they understood me better than the Nordic guys. Except for Swedish people, they speak amazing English. You would never guess. So that was when I learned like I had to start to enunciate. And then of course coming up to Pittsburgh, I mean, I did come up here, and I was mixed between like being in Pittsburgh, Maine, which is mostly regular English,
right?
But also I worked down south a little bit, and there were quite a few Yinzers.
Yinzers.
And they can be a little hard to understand.
Yeah.
The first time someone told me they were going to the pop machine.
Oh, see, we said that in Wisconsin.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no clue what a pop machine was.
But when I moved here, they wanted to put me in speech classes because I grew up in the Midwest, and the R's are different, and it's still like fire. I say fire.
Fire. Oh, it's longer. Yeah, I knew. Yeah.
And my aunt is now a retired speech pathologist, but I'll never forget. I think it was 4th or 5th grade, and I came home crying because they sat me down and they said, "Do you hear how you say it differently?" And it was such a lack of understanding for me because that's how my family speaks. And so I went home and cried to my mom and thought something was totally wrong with me. And again, my parents had a very much so like, you guys should be fiercely yourselves. You guys are perfect stance. I mean, not perfect, but you know what I mean. Like, really have faith in who you are. And so I'm crying. And so she calls up my Aunt Joan, and she's like, they told Sarah she has to go to speech. And my aunt has me say a few things, and she's like, no, you just have a Midwest accent. And I'm so grateful because I think speech would have given me a complex.
Yeah, I mean, I remember hating it. Like, there were a couple, especially like 4th and 5th grade, I really hated it. Again, like one of the reasons I was in special classes was because no one could understand me. Like, no one knew if I was right or wrong with what I was. But I liked to interact because that was me. And I definitely remember 4th and 5th grade, I was suddenly aware this is very much ostracizing me, and so I really didn't like it. But definitely also in 6th grade, I still didn't like it, but it kind of became a study like something that like I enjoyed because it really became about like what shape is your mouth making? How do you do
Right.
this? Like, it was almost its own little. It really is. Like I imagine. I think they're called speech pathologists. Yeah. It's its own little science of how you can make different sounds with different
Hmm.
you know movements of your mouth and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
oh no, I like it. Um, so one of the things I'm also interested with is with your stomach, like your entire endocrine system is probably slightly off. So how is working out?
So my labs are normally good,
Mhm.
but my spleen and liver are enlarged because they had more space to develop.
We need to have more space to develop.
Because my intestines weren't in my abdominal
So
cavity.
since
They
you were
were.
a kid, like from original.
Yes. Yeah, so they're enlarged. And so is my diaphragm. So,
Your diet, so you can breathe really well.
or you get hiccups really badly.
Ah, okay.
But I mean, it doesn't really cause many side effects. It can be dangerous if there's a certain amount enlarged, but I'm not at that point. Um, so my enzymes are sometimes off,
Mhm.
but other than that, the rest of my hormones
How
function.
about exercising?
That is, I can't run long distances.
No, you
As-
proved that one wrong.
Did I?
You did that
I
half
mean,
marathon.
did I vomit?
You're not the first person to vomit.
That's
Normal
correct.
people vomit on half marathons.
That's correct, but my doctor did tell me never to run more than a 10K. And then I did run a half marathon, which is over double the distance.
Yeah. Did you send him a picture?
No. But I did talk to her about it, and she said, okay, please don't run a marathon.
So
And I
what are you
said,
doing this year?
You asked me to run that 16 miler, and I was going to do it, but I can't. For other reasons. But
Didn't your parents tell you to be yourself?
yeah, and believe in myself, but also know your limits.
Ah.
And 16 miles with 3,600 elevation gain sounds terrible.
You see, you read too much.
Yeah.
Don't read these things.
But the reason I'm not supposed to run is because when you're running, your blood is diverted from non-essential activities to keep your body at baseline.
Mm-hmm.
So digestion is not an
You weren't
essential
doing that anyways.
activity. Exactly. So now I'm really not digesting.
Gotcha.
So that's why for the half marathon, when we were running, it's like I was being very careful about how much I drank, how much I ate, even of like the safety foods that otherwise wouldn't agitate my stomach.
Mhm.
Just getting a volume too high could do it. And I'm sure it was a combination between I just ran a half marathon and I drank all of that Gatorade and that orange juice and then threw it all up. Because I hadn't even eaten food at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And I knew you were going like. I was like, she's gonna vomit. Like this is her first half. Like good
I
luck.
know. But David didn't.
Yeah, but I didn't vomit my first half either. But there were definitely times like where I wasn't a happy camper, right? Like I'm like I feel not so great.
Mm-hmm. But it definitely, it did slow me down. There were points during it where I was like getting that feeling. And I talked to you about training, about trying to push myself to the maximum speed, distance until I felt that. Not necessarily just nausea, because I always say like my nausea feels different. Like if I have food poisoning, it feels different than my gastroparesis nausea.
Okay, that makes sense.
And I can feel a difference. So there would be times running where I just feel nauseous because I'm pushing my body. And then there would be times where I'd be like, my stomach is over paralyzed. That's not a medical term, but that's how I used to think of it.
Super paralyzed.
Right. Ultra paralyzed. It's half marathon paralyzed. And I would have to stop or whatever, but we did it. We did. I think it was 11:15 was our pace or something, so I'll take
you were
it.
pretty quick. I think you were quite a bit faster than you thought you were gonna be, I think, weren't you?
Yeah, I was shooting for a 12-minute mile.
Yeah, I remember you being.
Yeah, because I think we got to 9 miles at my 10:30 pace, which was my goal. That was a comfortable pace for me. And then I started to not feel so great because another thing with my stomach is on either end of the spectrum, it'll be upset. If there's too much food in it, it'll be upset. And if there's nothing in it, it'll freak out.
Mm-hmm.
So after running 9 miles, we're what, an hour and a half in, a little over at a 10:30 pace. I didn't really eat much breakfast. That's all been digested.
Mm-hmm.
And now there's nothing in my stomach. And my body's like, we need, like, this is code red, time to vomit. So
we got a buddy that we run with named Jim, and he's a barn door of a man. Honestly, I don't know how he fits on the trail. Like,
Really?
he's got these shoulders that are just, I mean, it's like, I honestly, he looks like he's 6'4". I think he's only like 6 or 6'1", but he's just got these barn door shoulders. Like, if he's running, he can actually like mess you up, because if he dodges, like, if he's not paying attention, also he like moves out of the way, you can't see anything in front of him. So if there's something else that he just dodged,
oh, you're done.
you run into it, right? And especially if you're tired. Like, when I get really tired, like, I'm on your heels because, like, I'm trying to maintain pace. I'm not thinking, I'm just following. And so he can put you right into a tree, because you just can't see around him. But he struggles with this a lot. This thing of he has to have the right amount in his stomach constantly, and it's a delicate balance. It's frustrating so that he has to do this, of course, but like, he started to learn how to play with it.
Right.
So he has lots of tricks to kick because a lot of times you can't maintain the balance very well, and so you dip into empty. So he has tricks to get it back, right? So he has like a series of different types of foods that he will most likely kick him back into being okay, and he goes back and eats normally and everything like that. Normally, these tricks involve things that are high in sugar, with something else. Like, he'll do ginger ale, he'll do thin mints, he'll do whatever.
Interesting.
I know some people do honey.
So maybe I wasn't high enough in sugar because I was doing like the Gatorade chews.
Yeah, well, everyone has things that work for them. Like, I, for the most part, can do. If one of my buddies is listening to them, they're gonna remember my second ultra where I did too many of the gels, but like, I can generally do gels. But one day I decided trying to only do gels for like 13 hours, and that didn't go so well at all. I threw up after that one too.
Well,
so
that's a lot of time to run.
Yeah,
2.5 hours was enough for me.
It's a warm up.
Yeah, I know it was for
your
you.
full marathon.
I know it was for you because you ran it at like an 8-minute pace.
No, I wasn't that fast. It was like closer to 9. I would like to be able to run the half at an 8-minute pace. That'd be pretty darn cool.
Well, you asked me when we're doing it this year.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. Yeah, so I mean, but you still work out nonstop. I mean, besides the running, I know you did cycling for a while, and
then the pandemic hit.
And then you do a lot of in-house like weightlifting and stuff right now, right?
Yeah, so it was cycling and then it was HIIT because I was used to that like burst cardio movement. But and then I trained for the half marathon. And then I got so sick of that. I thought, I'm going to keep running so much. And I did for like a few months. And then I got back to doing like the strength stuff. And now I'm way more into strength. I mean, I don't lift heavy, but
show us those guns.
Yeah, no. But I at least use weights now where I didn't before. And it's interesting because similarly to how like my legs felt, where I could feel the muscle during the half marathon, I feel that despite only strength training, not cardio.
Yeah.
So now today was my first longer run in a while. It was 3 miles. But I thought it was going to be hellacious. And I thought,
some big words.
Give yourself an hour to do the 3 miles just in case. Like, that way you don't beat yourself up. And it was a 9:10 pace.
A 9:10?
Yeah.
Oh, so you did in under half an hour.
Yeah.
You're at 27:30.
27:30.
You beat me today.
Right. And like, where did that come from?
Well,
But-
that's the strength training.
Exactly.
Mhm. I was shocked. That was the big difference this last summer. Was I was doing along with all the running Wednesday. My schedule was Tuesday shortish run, Wednesday strength training, Thursday shortish run, big run on take Friday off, big run on Saturday, follow up small run on Sunday to get the back to backs, which is common for ultras. And then take Monday off again. And that strength training on Wednesday was huge. I had a trainer, and he was making me do things I never would have thought you should do, like explosive stuff, really strong stuff, jumping stuff. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to run for hours. Like,
Yeah.
why are you trying to squat this like really heavy? He's like, oh no, you're going to like this. Like, it'll be, and then all of a sudden after a month, I was like, he's right.
Exactly. I was like floored today.
Yeah.
And I mean, I ran at noon, but I will never forget the first time I ran 3 miles training for the half. I thought my hips were going to break.
Yeah.
I thought I could not take another step. And I thought, my hips are going to be pretty sore today. I'd only been running 1 to 2 miles max, not fast. Mostly we'd been walking. And my legs really aren't that sore yet.
Yeah.
Again, it's not tomorrow. It's not Wednesday. But they definitely don't feel as bad as I expected. Because, like you said, the strength training definitely helps.
You also have that ligament and muscle memory and bone density hold over from last year. It changes quick. You'll get into shape faster this year. Like it'll be nice.
I'm doing the half marathon training program leading up to the anniversary celebration.
Are you really? Anniversary of the?
No, to our anniversary
your
celebration.
Anniversary. Okay, I was like, wait a second, which anniversary year?
No, just to get fit.
Yeah.
Get in good shape for it.
So, I think that's been going for a little while here.
Yeah, I thought someone texted me, which is why I looked, but it is 10:10. Oh, my mom did text me.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
fine.
Anything good?
No, I told her I was like, I'm talking about you a lot, and she said, oh, she just said yes! Exclamation point. Did she say?
She's very
Just
Okay, mom, you're a microbiologist.
Hi, Mom, on TV.
No, because she just said she's disappointed in my knowledge of chem.
Is she?
wild.
You have been disowned.
To be fair, her master's is in microbiology, so
That's not chemistry.
exactly.
Yeah, what does she know?
Or of your exceptions.
My deception?
Yeah.
That was astronomy. So if she's mad about astronomy, thanks for paying for my college. I still graduated.
It's okay. Like I said, I didn't tell you this. I failed DiffyQ twice.
Twice. Oh, I was.
So I failed.
Yeah.
I failed in 2 different countries.
That's hard to do.
Yeah, I took DiffyQ here, failed, and then we decided to go and take it in Japan.
Where you don't know the language.
Yeah, and I felt so bad about this. So you show up, right? It's a Japanese course, right? And there's like 50 Japanese people there, 5 non-Japanese people there, and the lecturer goes, "All right, is there anyone here who doesn't understand Japanese well enough to do this course in Japanese?" And 3 out of the 5 foreigners, right? So 2 of them were like, okay to do it, but 3 of us, because, all right, whole class is in English.
Oh, they hated you.
I'm like, no. So you start taking this course, and I'm like, okay, I know what's happening. This makes sense. I get it. It makes sense, right? And so we go through, and there's no grades. And it's just the final.
No.
And so we get to the final. I'm like, I got this in the bag, right? I thought he was going to ask us questions like how to, in America, it's like solve this problem, solve that problem. Like, no, it was derive what we did in class. It was the,
Panic ensues.
it was the second DPQ class that I was like, I shouldn't be here more than 5 minutes.
That's terrible. I didn't fail any class twice. I did take biochem my last semester senior year, and if I didn't pass it, I didn't get to graduate.
Oh, that's
And
pressure.
grades weren't released till the day before graduation. So my whole family was coming out. Maybe only for me to tell them I wasn't graduating, but I did well enough that by the end I needed like a 62 on the final to pass, which is a challenge for biochem, but I think I got a 68. It rounded up to a B.
That's all that matters.
Yeah. I graduated.
C's get degrees, right? And I never listened to that well enough. Yeah, no, it does though. Like especially now, like I'm like,
Yeah.
or my grades, I don't even know.
And you have a master's, right?
No.
I thought you did. In your first degree.
No, so I got mechanical engineering degree, and I went back for. I just wanted to get another bachelor's.
Okay, so 2 degrees nonetheless.
Yeah. I don't know.
Arguably more difficult.
They don't. No one ever sees it that way.
I do.
Yeah. I don't know.
To me, my master's program was so different. They wanted us to understand to be productive in the field.
Mm-hmm.
In undergrad, they want you to be book smart.
That makes sense.
And so the master's degree was so much easier for that reason.
Yeah, I rushed down the CS degree, so it was honestly just 4 semesters more or less of just, it was project after. I mean, I was always on project. Every single day, it was work on a project. What day is it? Project day. And I actually found that to be easier than a lot of other things, because if your project isn't working, you just put more hours in. And eventually, if you push enough buttons, it will work. And so as long as you don't really have to sleep, you can get done.
Yeah, but
and then the exams aren't nearly weighted as hard as as it was in Japan. And so yeah, it definitely worked a lot better for my style. But yeah.
my mom just said it's past my bedtime.
Yeah, I think it's past everyone's bedtime. I think this was perfect.
That's so funny. Thank you for having me. This was
thanks
fun.
for coming and sharing.
We have to have serious conversations across each other with mics in our face more often, apparently.
Yeah, I learned so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good night, everyone.
That's funny.